everyone, and welcome to our series Talk the Walk with Bharat Vaani. I'm your host Erica, and our guest today is Neeraj. He's the founder of Rightways. Rightways believes that the way that we are leading our life wouldn't, have an ecosystem that will be soon able to sustain our needs. They have launched various projects that help us correct our lifestyle, invariably helping us to sustain. They are vastly into composting, urban farming, and sewage treatments. Now, before we get into all the good things that Rightways is doing, hi Neeraj, can you please introduce yourself to our audience?
Hello, and this has been a nice initiative by Bharat Vaani. I'm really happy to be here talking to you all right now. And yes, we have been a company trying to figure out some easily doable ways where everybody can get involved, from a household to commercial enterprise, in terms of sustainable living, wherein we could grow our own food and we could manage our waste so that at an individual level we become a uh, zero garbage person, or a society, or a community. And then we could also recycle our wastewater and reuse it. So I'm pretty sure Erica is going to pose me some tough questions on this, and I should be able to handle
them. No. So, do you would like to tell our audience, where are you from? Where did you complete your education?
Yes, we have been in Bangalore since 1978, though we originally belong to northern India, Uttar Pradesh basically. My name is Neeraj Srivastava. And we came here because my father was with Indian Institute of Horticultural Research in Hesarghatta. And so I came here as a kid, and then the education has been from Purna Prajna in Sadashiv Nagar. That was way back in 1980s. I think came out of school, did my 10th in 83, 84, and then I went to for my pre-university education to Seshadzipuram College, and then from there I did my engineering in mechanical from Dayanand Sagar College of Engineering. And yes, so it's been an interesting journey. It's been a long journey.
Okay, that's nice. Can you tell us a little bit about Rightways and what is your vision for this company?
Yes, somewhere in 1999, when I was actually in my career in, I would say, some of the core engineering, mechanical engineering subjects. And I was involved in business development or sales of a lot of mechanical equipments. And from my engineering background, I had an exposure to a lot of different technologies at that time. And something in me said that, even though we have been quite moving quite fast in the technological arena, but still it is so difficult for us to even to replicate a small leaf. Whether you look at it from mechanical design or from whatever perspective. So that was a thought, I guess, a seed which which is trying to germinate in my mind, I guess. So I started reading about biology, and somewhere I bumped into, into the world of bacteria. So I was reading about that, and it was very fascinating what these small things can do. And that deep read kind of became led to sort of small experiments for cleaning up water. So, and then slowly it grew into something really nice and interesting, where we started applying some of these solutions to wastewater recycling and composting. That was somewhere around, say, 2000 to 2003 or so. And then In fact, we even took up, operation of these sewage treatment plants in some of the apartments and trying to more. It was more of a, I would say, an experiment in the real time. So yeah, we got some interesting results. And since my father was a scientist and we had a background, I've grown up with a lot of renowned scientists, and there was this a bent of mind which probably was leading me to do some kind of a research. Though I'm not a scientist as such, but yes, it was interesting to go into that direction, and then later on we kind of since I was since I am a salesman basically, so my all my all my developments were basically rooted from people's need perspectives. So what would people do, or what is the need of the people which needs to be satisfied through whatever I do, and that led to some interesting product development. And later on, we went on to patent some of these things, and now today we have Rightways has, I think, 8 or 9 registered trademarks, and Rightways has been selling pan India to remote locations like Arunachal Pradesh and some really far off places. And we do not have any service centers, so our composting units are doing really well. We do not have any customer complaints. Our STPs are working nicely without any complaint. People have even forgotten who's the supplier of this STP. So I find that very interesting.
Yeah.
Yes. So it has been a good journey. Yes.
Okay. Can you, in brief, just describe the different projects that you are doing, with on Rightways, and just the different categories that you all have?
Yeah. So it's let me try to be as simple as possible. Okay. So what we do is in our day-to-day life, we are generating a lot of waste, and it starts off with everybody generating some kind of food waste, whether it is say food scraps or leftover food. That is organic waste, and so let's say the waste that matters to us is basically the kitchen waste. Now, why is it so important? Is because if you look at your individual house, I did this experiment with some NPS kids some time back. We all when we talk about the garbage or the waste management issue, we are always stuck up on this one particular idea that we are not segregating waste, and that's a lot of guilt, creates a lot of guilt in us. But if you actually look deeply, in today's modern homes, you have a bin in almost every room. Okay, so there is a bin in the kitchen, there is a bin in the bedroom, there's a bin in the living room or whatever. Now, have you ever, after eating your food, have you ever gone and emptied your plate in your bedroom bin?
No.
Yeah. So by default, everything, whatever cooking happens in kitchen, the leftover scraps would end up in the kitchen bin. The leftover food would end up in the kitchen bin. It might also have some amount of, say, plastic waste, like some sachets or milk packets. That's okay. So good amount of, I would say all the biodegradable waste is going into the kitchen bin.
Yeah.
Now it's only when you hand it out, then you put it into a black trash bag. So by default, we are all segregating waste.
Yeah.
Right? So if just this knowledge, is kind of, if we are able to say, even for a second in our subconscious mind, say that no, we are all segregating wet waste, and this wet waste can be composted. So the biggest problem is when the guy who's taking your bag, which has the food waste and the dry waste, would not be really having an infrastructure to open that bag, clean it, wash it, and then give it to recycling. Yes. So that is where the mess happens. And so composting is easy. I mean, if you have all the segregated wet waste, it's very easy to do compost, to convert that into some very nice recyclable material, which is organic manure. And if that happens, then what comes out of your houses is just clean, dry waste, for which there is a huge market waiting outside to take it and give it to the recycle. There's a recycling system in terms of kabadi walas or scrap dealers is not something new. It has been in existence for so many decades. So that's a very well structured system which is there in the place. Now the second thing is, let's say it's difficult in apartments. They do have a sewage recycling plant, but let's say if it's an individual house, what do you do? So the wastewater that comes out, today since there is water flowing out of the tap, people might not really feel, it's a nice living room discussion topic about water crisis, but still for people to realize the actual water crisis, the water will need to stop flowing out from the taps. So once that happens, then probably yes, we would have a situation. But let's say even if that situation comes, it's still not a water crisis, because water is more of a management issue. If you look at the way it has been all designed, you have actually door delivery of water to your homes without paying a single rupee. That is called rain. That rain on a typical say floor area or the roof area that we in Bangalore are very conversant with is a 30-40 site. So a 30-40 site, let's say if it ends up in 1,000 square feet of roof, and looking at the rainfall in Bangalore, you are actually collecting say about 1 lakh liters of water, which is fresh water and no hardness, no TDS in it. Plants love that water. Plants love rainwater. So that is the kind of water which is being given to you free of cost, door delivery every year. And a family of 4 would consume about 1,20,000 liters. So you might fall short of say 20,000 liters. If you are collecting all the 1 lakh liters falling on your roof and reusing for your daily needs, you might, if you are very conservative, you can probably live in 1 lakh. Otherwise, you're falling short of 20. So there are methods where you can recycle your grey water or even the black water and use it for flushing and gardening. So when you use it, so if you look at your daily consumption of water, which as per the Pollution Control Board is about 135 liters per person per day, but it varies. I mean, it could be 100 liters per day, it could be 50 liters per day, depends on which section of the society we come from. But anyways, let's say even if you average it out to about 100 liters per day, and if you look at your total consumption, I would say most of it goes into the flushing. Even if you even before leaving your homes, you would actually flush 2 times, at least 2 times before you leave your home, and after you come back another 1 or 2 times. So if you were able to recycle all that water and reuse it, you could cut down your consumption by 50%. So which means that if you are a house which is collecting say 1 lakh liters of rainwater, and typically if you were to use all that water and throw it out, you would need 1,20,000 liters. But if you are able to recycle and reuse it, you would just need 50,000 liters, not even 1 lakh. So you are now surplus by 50,000 liters. Probably you could give it away to somebody. All right, or probably put through something and make it as packaged drinking water and sell it out, whatever. So anyways, the thing is we are always looking at situations from a standpoint of scarcity, but there is no scarcity in nature. The nature works in abundance. So there is no water crisis. I mean, water crisis is in our minds. If we were able to apply some good techniques, we could. So let's say you have an individual house and you have this sewage treatment plant, and you are able to say use that water for flushing. We have a system. If you see behind me, there's an orange color kind of thing. Now those black pockets that you see, the plants come out of it. So we call that product as veggie barrel. Now this veggie barrel, each veggie barrel can sit in a space that a chair occupies. So if you have a good balcony receiving about 3 to 4 hours of sunlight, you could put just one of this, and each veggie barrel can grow about 100 plus plants. Yeah. So we've tried planting all vegetables, and we even grow moringa tree into this. So you can grow your vegetables grown out of your own hands and completely organic and highly nutritious, and the taste what you would get 40, 50 years back. I mean, if you look at radish today, you eat radish, there is no tinge in it, but around 20, 30 years back, it used to have that, the moment you put it in your mouth, you get this sensation. So you get to eat those kind of vegetables, and you can grow them at home, and you really don't need any kind of a pipeline connection. So let's say you harvest that 1 lakh liters of water, and you recycle it and you reuse it. So you're not actually going out in the night to look for a spot to dump your garbage. All right. So you're not worried about the cameras might catch you, because you are able to generate your compost, and with that compost you're able to generate your food, and you're able to recycle your water and reuse it again. So there is no water bill, and so it's so easily possible. It's just that we need to think about it. And normally people would feel that it is too tough. I don't know how to grow things, and it might be so difficult. But believe me, it's just like cooking. You need to practice. You don't get it the first time. It takes a couple of trials. So it's not that difficult, but it's a lot of fun and gives a lot of pleasure.
Okay. So, in the market, there are a lot of, composting equipments that are available. There is a lot of, these sewage treatment plants. So how are your products, different from the competition in your niche? And what is your USP?
Yes. So, say about 15, 20 years back, when composting was people are familiar about composting, but there was this word which came out of nowhere, it was something like organic waste converter. So what happened was, the world was hearing about such a term for the first time, and at that time, there was this burning debate going on about the waste management and the landfills. People around the landfill sites were really agitating, and it was a burning issue at that time. So there was some company which brought out this interesting terminology called organic waste converter. So I tried Googling organic waste converter those days to find out whether this is something which exists outside of India. But unfortunately, I could not find anything like that. So it was interesting for me to find out what is this organic waste. So it was basically there was an attempt to actually address this issue of bulk composting. So, for example, Bangalore produces say about 5,000 tons of garbage every day, and if you take 60% of it, which is about 3,000 tons of wet waste which can be composted. Now the thing is, this 3,000 tons is going to take 3 months, and every day if you're going to pile up 3,000, you need a huge area, and a lot of messy things might happen. So the challenge was that how do you convert bulk amount of say organic waste into compost as soon as possible.
Yeah.
So there were certain systems like shredding it and putting into crates, and so that was one kind of system which came out. Later on, I think so there were a lot of issues with that because of the stink and the pest infestation and semi-digested kind of compost coming out. So I think somebody introduced a heating kind of a system. So there was this another design which came up where you really need to say sort of cure the whole system or cure it outside the system in crates, but just heat it. Which was basically a concept which was used in the poultry industry as a rendering machine. Nothing very new about it. But what happens was the crate curing system was a good thought. It was inefficient, but it was a good thought because still it was relying on digestion. But the heating system killed the whole concept because when you heat, the bacteria die. The fact that the living microorganisms which are responsible for this beautiful decomposition process, and if they are not there, then it becomes very difficult. So this and they put a tag on it called automatic. I don't know what is automatic. Everything is we have a lot of digestion going on in our tummy, but there is no switch where you can push and then so everything is automatic, by the way. So this particular machine is selling like hotcake because people don't know. But, so it even there has been a lot of write-ups on this, and people are protesting, and so many things are going on. But this is another technology, and the third one was which we sort of created, which so one of the good things that we did was that we tried to brand it so that tomorrow, even if there are lookalikes, we should not be framed into that category. So we branded it as Tallboy, and Tallboy has been in existence. So we were very silent about the whole thing. We wanted to see how good it is, how the customer is adapting to the whole thing, how easy or how difficult is it for the customer. So we just kept on working on it. But somehow it got noticed, and Tallboy became a brand. Nobody knows, not many people know what Rightway is, but quite a few people in our field know what Tallboy. The Tallboy has been a kind of a system which has been producing fully digested, earthy smell, and ready to use compost, which is highly nutritious. We test this compost quite often, and we find that the NPK values are 4 to 5 times higher than what the horticulture board suggests. So our journey has not been about the system. Our journey has been about the compost, the quality of compost that we can create, because that compost is going to create the magic in the soil.
Yeah.
So it's very simple. The soil feeds us, but something needs to feed the soil, and the soil, it is this compost or biomass which is going to feed the soil, and which will, produce the kind of. So it's a cycle. It's a carbon cycle. So so basically there are, I would say, 3 designs in the market, of which ours is one, which now people are trying to adopt the same principle where you kind of go down vertically. That has been the composting story for us. And we are very happy about it because there is a good acceptability in the market, and we are very happy if somebody is able to give us back that compost. We buy back that compost actually. Some of the apartments, they say, what do we do with this? So we say, okay, give it to us, because that compost, then we use it in our sewage treatment plant.
Oh.
So in a sewage treatment plant, and also in veggie barrel to grow back the food. So we have these products which kind of are dependent on each other and connected to each other. So a lot of people do not really believe that we could treat sewage this way. So we have this, our sewage treatment plant is like a planter box, a big planter box. So you would see a lot of decorative plants on top, and you pour the sewage from the top, and you have clean water coming from the bottom. Now, people do not believe this. So anybody who's buying our system would actually come to our site, take the sample, get it tested, get fully convinced, and then after that they don't ask for discounts. They just write the check. So in a way, it's easy for us. So we have been doing these plants for a very long time, and we supplied these plants to a lot of places, to a lot of remote places. The plant has a standard operating procedure, and if that SOP is followed, which is very simple, if that standard operating procedure is followed, then you get good quality of treated water. Basically, in treated water, there is something called oxygen. So how do you define recycled water? As per the Pollution Control Board, there are these parameters: BOD, COD, TDS, E. coli, pH, nitrates, phosphates. So these parameters, which have to be in limit. That is how you would define your recycled water. So if these parameters are met, then irrespective of whatever technology that you use, you would qualify into that space. Okay, whether somebody approves you or not, you would basically qualify into that space where you can recycle and rejuvenate water. Now, all these parameters, BOD, COD, and whatever I said, they are all, the governing parameter for them is the dissolved oxygen. So for example, just imagine you are living in water. Now, your source of survival is that oxygen which is available in water, right? So, if you look at if I say classify the water, so if it is sewage or heavily polluted water, there will be very little dissolved oxygen. Say maybe around, it is measured in milligrams per liter. So it could be maybe around, say, 0 to 1.5 or so. Or I would say that is sewage or heavily polluted water. If you have around 4 to 5, which is good quality of water, is got this amount of dissolved oxygen. So if you have the dissolved oxygen, if you have higher values of dissolved oxygen in your water, then your BOD, COD, all those parameters keep coming down. So how we do it is, in a very layman's language, the plants, the reeds, the plants that we use, they liberate oxygen from their roots. So we have this layer of life which kind of bioconverts. Whatever we call sewage is basically our waste going into the water, which is actually the nutrients, which are basically the food, which are the food for another form of life. So they are able to bioconvert this and feed, and that becomes the feed for the plants. The plants are able to use that material to grow, photosynthesize, and then bring out the oxygen from the roots, and that oxygen goes to the water. That is how the water gets cleaned. So it's a natural design, which is a very robust design. There is a little bit of engineering that we have done around it, but most of it is nature. That is why it is able to produce that quality of water, which is a very simple method to clean water, and adds greenery to your space. Doesn't really need 24/7 skilled operation. Doesn't need electricity. It's very simple to recycle that water. And yes, the growing food at home. Again, I have explained that that's not a big deal. So you could use the compost. You could use your recycled water and combine both of them and grow your own food.
Yeah. So how much time does it take to recycle the water?
Yeah, so that's an interesting question. So in the design of any sewage treatment plant, there is something called retention time. And so let's say you were to build an electromechanical plant, a good design would ask for about 21 hours, 22 hours of retention time. So if the water entered into your tank, it should keep filling up and then leave out after 21 hours, which means you need to have that kind of a big space to hold that water. And so that retention time is going to increase your civil cost. And you need to have a lot of, I'm talking about the electromechanical design, you need to feed it with air, pump air into it all the time. Okay. in our case, we do have a collection tank, which is sized according to the capacity of the plant. So this collection tank is a basic requirement for any sewage treatment plant. So we have also connected a lot of septic tanks. The septic tanks which are already there, we've connected them to our sewage treatment modules and used it. So either you would have a septic tank or a collection tank, and that is the only civil work that we need. And if the tank platform is strong enough, then we can simply place our modules, which are big boxes, on these. We have installed STPs along the boundary line. We've installed STPs on the rooftop. We have installed STPs on in the mid-air, but to some structures, fabricated structures where there was no space. So it's very difficult to imagine these things, but yeah. So there is not much of retention time, and our footprint is less because if you look at basically there are again say one is your electromechanical design. Then you have a DWATS, which is basically an anaerobic digestion. Most of the time it is anaerobic digestion, and finally you have polishing pond where you are able to say kind of sterilize the water and the usability of it. Then you have say the alternate technologies, lead-based plants. So there are these not too many designs. So if you club all the electromechanical into one, then might be say 4 or 5 different types of designs that you have in the market. And yes, the alternate technologies have a very good, I would say, treated water quality and reliable. But it needs to be built well and
Okay. So is there any interesting incident or story that you recollect while you were developing all your products, any of your products?
Oh yeah, I mean there were a lot of challenging situations. We had a good amount of failures before we actually are able to now talk confidently and with a lot of conviction. So we would have we ran into, say, in composting, we ran into say foul odor issues or worms issues and all those things. Later on, we realized that they were not that scary situations when customer comes in, because if the wetness is more, then you end up with worms and foul odor. But that's as I say now, it is like composting is like cooking, so you don't necessarily get it right the first time.
Yeah.
But then we were fortunate that we had so many say failures, because we were able to evolve, the design evolved, and we were able to bring in a lot of changes into our design. And today, when I say that we do not have service centers across the country, and yet we are able to sell our products without much customer complaints, maybe once or twice in a year, I think that itself is something which gives us a lot of confidence in what we are doing. And not just with composting, with also the sewage treatment plant, because STPs can be a very notorious subject. I have operated electromechanical STPs for almost 3 to 4 years, and to get even a good sleep in the night is a major achievement. So when I look at the installations that we are doing, and yes, as I said, there is a standard operating procedure. So if the standard operating procedure is followed, then you don't really get it. It's very easy to use. So
okay. Are there any challenges that you are facing right now, and have you come up with any solutions?
No, actually, I don't know whether I should be saying this, because challenges can crop up any time, but it's been quite some time that we have been very relaxed, and we have not really looked much into say firefighting. There hasn't been any firefighting situation for almost 2-3 years now. And that sort of gives us a feeling that we now need to scale up. And now we would like to probably become more visible and maybe make the narrative more stronger and the rhetoric more stronger, so that we are able to sort of comfortably suggest some low cost and very effective solutions to the market.
That's nice. And touch wood to that you don't have any problems. Okay.
Yeah, that's really, yeah, I hope it remains like that.
Yes. Okay. What are the learnings that you have acquired, in your profession while you were innovating all of your products?
I would say the learning is tremendous. Even today, I mean, I have this habit of getting up early morning. So most of my 2-3 hours in the morning actually are basically, there's so much to learn in this field. And it is so interesting that there are so many new developments that keep happening every now and then. So, in fact, the next projects that I'm working on through a non-profit organization of ours is to how easily you can do carbon capture through use of grass and biomass. So people are talking about carbon capture by capturing the liquid carbon and converting into liquid and dumping it to the sea. With so much of infrastructure, and that's quite complicated process. But then using grass and biomass, it can be very easily done, and you can create a lot of livelihoods, and you can create a very nice sustainable material that can have so many different uses. That's one. Then there's a lot of research going on in algae. Algae can give you a superfood and at the same time absorb a lot of carbon. Then I'm working on reef restoration. In the oceans, the reefs are bleached and almost 70-80% of the reefs are gone. But there are ways through biomimicry where you can revive these coral reefs. And coral reefs are one of the important cycles in the ocean ecosystem. And, so there are so many things to do actually. So I mean, composting and sewage treatment has become kind of a stale subject right now. And I hope so. We need to talk to a lot of people. I need a lot of people to work side by side with me, and so many things to do.
Okay. Do you have any message or advice for the aspiring entrepreneurs of India?
Well, it's like this. If you can drive in India, you can drive anywhere. If you can succeed in India, you can succeed anywhere. So to actually start a business, and so the one of the confusing trends, I come from a different age altogether. One of the very confusing trends right now is that all the people are looking for venture funds. And I come from a generation where my parents told me, do not borrow money. So I find it very confusing where people today are only borrowing money and not really, I don't know where it is going. It's all this big bubble that gets created. Maybe I'm old school, but I find it, if you are able to work through your pocket, if you can earn the money and then spend it, it's the life becomes a lot easier, and there is so much of peace in your life. So for all these startups and the newcomers, I would say, yes, you need capital to scale up, but also be grounded. So.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you, Neeraj, for your time and a lot of information on this subject matter. I wish you best of luck, and just thank you for joining us on Bharat Vaani.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Erika. Thank you so much.